At the beginning of the 2022-23 season, I believe it was about 5 or 6 weeks in, it was reported that the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, Billy Donovan, had received a contract extension, but not at that time. No, he had actually received the extension during the offseason, but for some reason, the Bulls decided to keep this information private until they were already into the year. A secret extension, if you will. Why? I don't think anyone really knows why, as you would think extending Billy Donovan would be something that would want to be made public and celebrated after having taken the Bulls to the playoffs the prior season, which is what they claimed as the rationale for giving him an extension because, again, he took the Bulls to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, even though it was pretty clear the Bulls were not looking good towards the end of the season as they fell significantly in the standings. But the rationale and whether the extension was warranted or not, the fact of the matter is Billy Donovan received an early contract extension when he still had 2 years left on his current deal, and the Bulls for some reason decided to do this secretly. But if that wasn't weird to you, well, the Bulls did the same thing yet again, but this time in extending Arturas Karnisovas and his contract, which was reported yesterday by Darnell Mayberry of The Athletic, but evidently the extension took place weeks ago before the end of the regular season. And this was in fact the case for most of the folks in the Bulls front office receiving these secret extensions. That didn't come out until yesterday, which is still so odd to me. I've been following the NBA for quite some time, and even though I didn't start creating content for the NBA until recently, I still have never seen a situation where a franchise decides to extend their coach and front office in secret as if they had something to hide. So in this video, we're going to be trying to unpack why they would do this and what it means for the Bulls going forward. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, I think for most Bulls fans, it really rubbed people the wrong way when they found out that Billy Donovan had received a secret extension, partially because a lot of folks felt he didn't deserve an extension and that it was unnecessary considering it wasn't like Donovan was going into the final year of his deal. They could have easily seen how the season played out before making a contract extension offer and locking him into a guaranteed deal where there was uncertainty around his viability as a coach for the Bulls. It was almost as if the franchise wanted to keep this secret for as long as they could to avoid any backlash for extending Donovan so early when he really hadn't proven much to earn that extension. So when we learn the same thing happened with the Bulls front office and their contract extensions that have been given in secret, it really did not sit well with the fan base because look, we've already had issues with this organization not being transparent with their handling of things in the past. I'm talking about the days even before Acme, shady dealings by Garpax, backstabbing and creating a toxic environment in years past going all the way back to the Dynasty days. And I think for Bulls fans, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, after Garpax, after those guys were fired and the new regime was brought in, we truly felt that the culture of this team was going to change. That you were going to see a more competent and transparent and have the ability to create a strong culture that this franchise desperately needed. And really, ever since the new front office took over, we haven't seen any of that. Sure, there was talk at the beginning about creating a winning culture, winning mentality, about being open and transparent with the players, doing things the right way, but once that first season kicked off under Acme, you've really only seen a lot of lip service, saying the politically correct things to the media, keeping their handlings, their strategy and plan close to their chest. The Vucevic trade came out of nowhere and wasn't something the media was expecting. The free agent signings of DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso were also a surprise and being kept under the radar. Lonzo Ball was different. That rumor obviously was going on for years. But really throughout their time, it's become abundantly clear you don't know what this front office is going to do, which is fine. I'm not faulting them for not revealing all of their ins and outs of their long-term strategy and which players they're looking at, either in the form of trades or free agent signings. Sometimes that's actually smart to keep things under wraps to maintain your leverage in any negotiation when it comes to acquiring players. But it's very different to actually have a contract executed and keeping it quiet until well after the fact as a means to avoid any public outcry, when in reality it's actually causing more public outcry from fans learning about these secret contract extensions well after the fact. Now, I guess we'll never really know why the Bulls have decided to do both Billy Donovan and Arturas Karnisovas and giving them early contract extensions, and I'm going to try and get Darnell Mayberry back on the channel to ask him more about it since he was the first to report on this news, but we can speculate on why they would do this. And in my personal opinion, they knew it would be a bad look to offer the front office an extension right when they were in the middle of a bad season, a season in which the Bulls failed to make the playoffs. Like, it's pretty rare to see a coach or an executive receive a contract extension when your team is doing poorly. It's one thing when you're handing out early contract extensions when the team is playing well together, but when the team is not doing well and you're giving out early extensions, unwarranted secret contract extensions, yeah, it's strange. And look, it just goes back to the same weird, shady things this franchise has done throughout their history. And every time you think things are finally going to be changing, whether it was when Jerry Krause was let go and we thought there would be this change in culture and leadership at the top, but no, they brought in John Paxson, who was just as bad, later bringing in Gar Forman, also bad. I'm not saying they didn't make good moves, like Krause won 6 titles, Gar Pax, they built a championship contending team. It was just unfortunate that Derrick Rose's career was derailed by injuries. But it was more so all of these secretive and shady dealings, lack of trust, lack of transparency at the top of the organization that always gave the Bulls and their franchise a bad name around the league. And when the new front office came in, Jim Boylen was fired, they revamped the roster, you thought maybe, just maybe the Bulls will finally become a respectable organization from the top down. But no, we're still seeing the same thing, an unserious and untrustworthy organization, and as fans, we've kind of had it. I know some are going to say I'm overreacting a bit in a rant here, and yeah, maybe I am, but I've been following this team ever since the 90s, and yeah, it's getting to a bit of a boiling point. It's frustrating to follow this team when you know that at the end of the day, there really isn't anything meaningful going to change about this franchise while Jerry Reinsdorf owns this team. And obviously we know his son Michael will be taking over whenever Jerry dies. So it's not like anything is going to be changing anytime soon. When your owners don't care about the actual game of basketball and are more focused on the bottom line and maximizing their profits, and they're just simply content on living off of the wealth Michael Jordan has built for them even 30 years after his retirement, then yeah, nothing is going to change. You have very unserious, unmotivated owners, plain and simple. Until the Reinsdorf sell the team, which again is not going to happen because why would you when the Chicago Bulls are a cash cow even when the team is bad? You can put out mediocre product and it will still generate millions of dollars in revenue every year. Why would you sell? But until that time comes, yeah, we should expect more of the same things from this franchise. Let me know what you guys think of the Bulls extending AK to a contract extension. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.